take advantage. You better take advantage of your clapping now. By the time we get into procedure, no more clapping, no more disturbance. I hope you are aware of the rules. So for the goodwill messages, please, if they are sweet, clap. And then after that, no more, when we get proper, no more clapping. We are going to go into real legislative process. So if you clap, we send you out. Yes. So I'm sure you heard it. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Again say nay. The ayes have it.
Distinguished the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, both represented by Senator Mohammed Mongono, Chief Whip, and Professor Julius Ehonvere, Majority Leader, respectively, distinguished senators, right honorable members, the National Commissioner and Director Legal of INEC, the Development Cooperation Director of Head of Development Cooperation at the FCDO, Cynthia Rowe, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the co-chairs, Senator Along and Prince Adebayo Balogun, distinguished chair of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, thank you for the privilege of beginning to clap right as I'm speaking. So I'm going to be looking forward to all the claps. But really to say, both chairmen, we do thank you so much, the Senate and House Committee chairs, for the work that you have been doing together in the last 1.5 years. As happened in the Ninth Assembly, we do have very good collaboration that both chairs in the Senate and the House have brought forward in the work that they are doing on electoral matters and the energy that they have brought into the work that is being done towards having a new electoral act passed before the elections in 2027. The enthusiasm, the force of push that we have seen from Prince Balogun and from Senator Simon Lalong is something that is very commendable, which is why with the House of Representatives and the Senate moving forward with the work that they have done, producing an Electoral Act Bill 2025 that you have seen is something that we are quite grateful for. And the commitments that both chairmen have made to seeing a new Electoral Act passed within this year, 2025, is something that we also commend very much. As Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, it's not the pleasant test, I don't know if that language is correct, but it's not a pleasant test of experience to be continually looking at our electoral acts after every elections have happened and tinkering with it. The hope we have is that both committees, with the commitment that they have shown, will be working towards ensuring that a lot of the observations, a lot of the suggestions, a lot of the proposals that have come from members themselves, but also from those who are stakeholders in the electoral process, including INEC, civil society organizations, election observers, national and international, that the proposals that they have come forward with and the experiences that they have had with monitoring and observing elections and making these proposals to the National Assembly will be taken into account as a new electoral act is being proposed and scheduled to be passed by the National Assembly. when we look at the Electoral Act, I think it's so very important that we have stability of a legal framework, and that we do have, from this exercise, a legal framework that will endure several elections. It is true that it is not just the law or the legal framework that will give us the best elections possible, but at least the fact that you do have stability of law forms a good basis for us to expect that the body charged with implementing the Electoral Act and charged with conducting elections will realize the expectations that citizens have of it, and ensure that in outlining the contents of a new Electoral Act, that INEC itself will understand that citizens demand so much. As Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, ours has been not just to support the committees, but also as a civil society organization with very good experience with election issues, observing elections over several decades, that we're able to as well make our suggestions into what has been going on. We know that several Nigerian civil society organizations, including the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room, several international organizations who have observed elections and whom INEC accredits to come in and observe our elections. The hope we have is all of the suggestions that we have put in place or we have made to the National Assembly would be taken into consideration, and that they push to see that the new Electoral Act is in place well before the next elections. Certainly, the expectations is that before the end of this year, 2025, there will be a new Electoral Act, and that the two chairmen, given the commitment, given the energy that they have brought into the push for a new Electoral Act, that this new bill will be ready before the end of the year, and both chairmen and members of the committee in both the Senate and the House will be able to pass this, and that the president of the country will understand that a whole lot of what is proposed is coming from citizens' demands, which the committees have responded to. So we certainly are looking forward to a new Electoral Act by the end of the year, and we certainly are hoping that this will be signed into law by the president. And we certainly hope very much, and INEC, the expectations are exceedingly very high, that INEC will implement the Electoral Act in a way that responds to citizens' demands for credible elections in 2027. Thank you so much.
The chairman has asked that we can clap, so if you intend to make it a clap, can we please make it a clap for him then? Thank you very much indeed. Remarks of goodwill there by the Executive Director, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Clement Wankwo. We appreciate you. Let me then invite another great supporter, and especially of this event. And I'm excited that she's here in person. Would like to, at this juncture, therefore, invite Cynthia Rowe, the Head of Development Cooperation, Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO Nigeria, to please come and give us her goodwill message as well. Please, a warm round of applause for her.
Thank you. The President of the Senate, duly represented by the Chief Whip, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, duly represented by the Leader of the House, the Honourable Chairman and members of the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters, distinguished senators and honourable members, representatives of ministries, departments and agencies, representatives of political parties, representatives of civil society organisations, members of the diplomatic corps, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is, of course, a great honour to address this very distinguished gathering on behalf of the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office. That is the UK, the British High Commission. And I would like to start by extending my appreciation to the National Assembly's Joint Committee on Electoral Matters for the invitation into this critical, very important national dialogue. So today is a testament to Nigeria's commitment to its democratic processes and institutions. It is a reflection of the progress made by the National Assembly to respond to the voices of Nigerian citizens and civil society who have called for a more transparent, inclusive, and credible electoral framework. Public hearings give voice to citizens. They allow ideas to be heard. They ensure that reforms are designed not just for the people, but with the people. And this hearing goes beyond a legislative formality. It is a demonstration of trust in people's ability to shape the rules that govern them. Nigeria's democracy has travelled a long road. Over the years, it has weathered challenges, it's adapted, and it's grown. And each election, each reform, and each civic debate adds an additional layer of resilience to the nation's democratic story. Elections are the cornerstone of any democracy. They are the way that citizens express their will, hold their leaders to account, and shape the future of their nation. The 2023 general elections in Nigeria were a key moment in the country's democratic history. They brought to the fore the strengths and innovations of the Nigerian electoral system, and they highlighted significant lessons as well. And as your partner, the United Kingdom is encouraged by the commitment of the National Assembly to implement reforms. And these reforms were highlighted by the lessons of the previous polls. And they open up the opportunity to deepen civic engagement and introduce innovation. As Nigeria prepares for its next electoral cycle, the decisions made in this room and by this institution will have far-reaching implications, and the issues are complex and consequential. Enduring, credible, transparent elections that include all parts of society, rationalising provisions on campaign financing, addressing electoral offences, exploring mechanisms such as early voting, diaspora participation, dispute resolution. There is a whole host of complex issues that this institution and you all are looking at today. And beyond the legal framework for the elections, the impending confirmation of the leadership of the Independent National Electoral Commission by the Senate is another defining moment in the run-up to the polls. Distinguished members of the National Assembly, your role in this process cannot be overstated. As custodians of the legal framework underpinning Nigeria's democracy, you have a unique responsibility and opportunity to shape the legal architecture that will stand the test of time. And we, as your partners standing at the side, commend you for your bipartisan and your collaborative approach. And to all stakeholders present here today, your contributions, we see, have been tireless and are and will be invaluable to this process. And on that point, of course, I would like to acknowledge the important role played by our partner here, the Policy and Legal Advocacy Centre, PLAC. Well done, and thank you for all the technical support that you provide to this process. So, distinguished guests, democracy is never finished. It is a continuous act of renewal. And as your partner, the UK stands ready to walk this journey with Nigeria. We are really delighted to be supporting this important Nigerian-led effort to strengthen institutions and the ongoing constitutional review process. And as Nigerians say, and we have adopted this as one of our logos, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And this process is a demonstration of collaboration of the legislature, of INEC, of political parties, civil society, the media, citizens, all walking in the same direction. So we look forward to the successful completion of this process in good time for the next general elections, as we've heard earlier, and I commend the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters and the leadership of the National Assembly for your commitment to ensure that the Electoral Bill 2025 reflects the aspirations of all Nigerians. I wish you productive deliberations, open minds, and enduring success. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Cynthia Rowe, for your support and, of course, for the promises made, and especially reminding the National Assembly that they have a very unique opportunity to use this public hearing to help shaping the future of elections in Nigeria. And of course, in turn, you have also said that the UK is ready to walk this path with Nigeria. Very grateful. Please, let's give her yet another resounding applause, please. Thank you very much. Moving on, would like to get a message of rather special remarks at this point by the representative of the INEC chairman. The INEC chairman, acting chairman, Mrs. May Agbamuche, is represented by two distinct individuals, but we have the National Commissioner of INEC, Professor Zuru, standing in for the acting chairman, as well as his counterpart, who's the director in charge of litigation and prosecution. So we'd like to get the buy-in and, of course, the message of the INEC acting chairman from Professor Zuru. So please, Professor Zuru, if you have the message of the acting chair, would like that you approach the podium. Please, a warm round of applause for him, please.
The Senate President, ably represented by the Chief Whip, the Speaker of House Rep, Tajuddin, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, permit me to stand or adopt the existing protocol for want of saving time. I will just start by conveying the apologies of the acting chair INEC. She had decided to come here herself, but unfortunately, we lost one of our staff, the admin sec Kano, and was laid to rest yesterday, so she's now organizing to ensure that the commission does the needful. at the end of every election, what we do in INEC is organize debriefings, organize reviews to examine the exercise. We did the same during the 2023 general election. And the review report, the report of the whole exercise, the election, are there on our website. Out of the review exercise, one of the things that is very relevant and germane to today's exercise are the observations and recommendations that came out of that review. We already have our representatives on the committee that is looking at the electoral reform. During that exercise, we had 75 consolidated observations that were made. There's no need for me to go through this here. Like I said, they are already on our website. Along with that, we also came up with 142 recommendations by way of trying to improve our electoral process. All these are there in the report. But for the purpose of today's exercise, let me just mention a few of them. For example, one of the things we think needs to be looked at is the review of Section 47(1) of the Electoral Act 2022 to modify the mandatory requirement for the use of PVCs to vote and the introduction of electronically downloadable voters card. With the viewers, we think these cards are no longer necessary. And because of some other reforms that we want to allow more people to vote, which this particular section prevent from voting, we have given this recommendation, and I'm sure we will discuss and see what happens. Also is the review of the electoral legal framework to introduce early and special voting to cater for eligible voters on essential service, including election. I think what obtains now, I can't vote, I don't vote. The security man that is involved can't vote. And it's just because of that, the regulations that we have, because you have to vote at the polling unit where you are registered. It's not necessary that you will be deployed on election day for that particular polling unit. So it has been a challenge, we don't vote. But in a way, we are disenfranchising ourselves and all other stuff that are doing. So that's why we are looking legal reforms to ensure that these things are handled. We also are talking about review of the electoral legal framework to permit diaspora and other out-of-country voting. This obtains in many countries. Why not Nigeria? So these are the things that I think that we will be looking at during this public review. At this point, Mr. Chairman, permit me to thank the leadership of the National Assembly for coming up with this, and thank everybody that is here to see that you all contribute to making our democratic process improved. Thank you, and God bless. Kenny, you are responding.
Thank you very much indeed. Professor Zuru, standing in for the INEC acting chairman, thank you so very much. Let me recognize and welcome distinguished Senator Binoy Siaro, who is a member of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters. We welcome you, sir. Thank you very much. At this point in time, Your Excellencies, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the onus is now on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who also doubles as one of the special guests of honor at this occasion, to then give us his speech. He's unavoidably absent, but as we told you, he's ably represented by none other than the Majority Leader of the House of Representatives, His Excellency, Distinguished Honorable Professor Julius Ihonwere, CON. Please, a warm round of applause for him as he comes forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Let me apologize on behalf of the Speaker, who is unavoidably absent. He's attending to some other urgent matters of state, and has asked me to stand in for him today. The Senate President, ably represented by the Chief Whip, the two co-chairmen of the Senate and House Committees on Electoral Matters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, including my colleagues from the House who are here, the senators. Let me also greet a lot of my colleagues and friends from civil society, in particular Larry Arugundade, whom I had not seen in so many years. I think he's sitting somewhere there. Mr. Speaker also acknowledges the support from PLAC and FCDO, so I'm happy to see them well represented. I will now read his remarks. It is my distinct honor to join you this morning at this one-day public hearing on electoral reforms organized by the National Assembly Joint Committees on Electoral Matters. I would like to thank the leadership of the Joint Committee for working so hard to achieve this public hearing, which is a necessary step in the determined effort to place a new electoral law that will guide the conduct of the 2027 general elections. I would also like to thank the guests and stakeholders who have made out time to join us on this very important legislative process, especially our untiring partners, the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, that has shown and proven over the years to be worthy associates in advancing the work of the National Assembly towards open and transparent legislation for sustainable democratic culture in Nigeria. Today's event brings us to a critical moment on our journey towards creating the most vital legal framework necessary for the conduct of the 2027 general elections. This effort will eventually culminate in the repeal of the Electoral Act of 2022 and the enactment of a new Electoral Act, which we hope to see signed into law well ahead of the 2027 general elections to enable the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to be properly guided and adequately prepared. The Electoral Act Amendment Bill seeks not only to strengthen measures against electoral fraud, improve access for persons with disabilities, and establish clearer timelines for resolving disputes, but also to reduce the ambiguities that trailed previous elections. Our goal is to make elections less contentious, lower their cost through single-day voting, and make the process of party primaries more democratic and inclusive. Our other proposals include electronic transmission of results and the establishment of an Electoral Offences Commission to professionally investigate and prosecute electoral crimes, as well as a firmer deadline for the resolution of election disputes so that governance is not held hostage by endless litigation. As I have said in other fora, the overarching goal is to produce a new electoral act that stands the test of time. The National Assembly did not arrive at these proposals by itself alone. The proposals were aggregated from several submissions to the National Assembly Joint Committee on Electoral Matters by Nigerians and strategic stakeholders, including election monitoring groups, special interest groups, and civil society organizations. One of the clearest messages to emerge from these submissions is that Nigerians know exactly what is needed to have transparent and credible elections, and it is not what is currently available. Our democracy rests on the credibility of our elections, and unless these contests are freer, fairer, cheaper, and less contentious, we endanger the Fourth Republic. Therefore, these reforms respond to the national demand that the ballot box be sacred, that all votes count, and that disputes are resolved swiftly and fairly. These have now necessitated this public hearing, and it is our expectation that through today's engagement, we shall curate vital and patriotic inputs towards preparing the final draft proposal that will be presented to the plenary of both chambers of the National Assembly for voting and adoption by the elected representatives of the Nigerian people. This public hearing also underscores our commitment to open legislation, inclusive legislative action, and the sustenance of our democratic culture by granting the people every opportunity to contribute to lawmaking in our country. The 2027 general election will be Nigeria's 8th since the 1999 election that ushered in a new democratic leadership in our country. There is no doubt, therefore, that this nation has made steady progress in its electoral journey. This progress has been built on the back of reforms of the electoral system, taking into cognizance the shortcomings of previous election cycles. The reforms captured in this Electoral Act are far-reaching and profound enough to guide the conduct of free, fair, transparent elections in our country. The way to make meaningful progress is to continue to correct every observable shortcoming by strengthening the electoral system to ensure that our people vote freely and could see their votes count in the best interests of our great country. Today's public hearing is, therefore, designed to ensure that all critical stakeholders add a final voice to the new electoral law before it returns to the plenary for votes. I urge you all to attend to this as a matter of national importance and patriotically address areas of concern with the best intentions for the overall good of our country. We must work to hand over to our children a country where an electoral system that they can be proud of exists. That journey continues with your contributions to this public hearing. Let us eschew political party rivalry and note that a transparent electoral system that guarantees free, fair, and accountable elections will work for every political party, irrespective of size, and every Nigerian, irrespective of tongue. From the outset, the National Assembly has pledged that it will make every effort to ensure that the process is concluded in a timely manner for presidential assent so that issues like technology-related reforms, which may require hardware and training, will be taken care of early enough and funding can be made available in time to avoid technical and logistical hitches. Previous attempts at amending the Electoral Act have foundered on the back of time, and we must do everything to avoid the same mistakes. I, therefore, urge you to make Nigeria and the generations to come proud by discharging your duty efficiently today and helping us create the best legal framework for the free and transparent conduct of the 2027 general elections. While looking forward to the outcome of today's public hearing, I wish you all the best of deliberations. Thank you, and may God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These are the words of Tajuddin Abbas, Speaker, 10th House of Representatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. His Excellency the Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCU, and Speaker, House of Representatives, speaking through the Majority Leader of the House of Representatives at his auspicious public hearing. And moving on now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to then invite, but of course, without forgetting that in the course of his remarks, he talked about what we intend to hand over to our children. Reminds me pretty very much of the second stanza of a national anthem that says, "Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign, in peace or battle honored, and these we count as gain, to hand over to our children a banner without stain." That is part of the exercise that all of you patriots are doing here today. I think you all deserve a round of applause. Moving on very quickly, it is then my very great distinct privilege to invite the number 3 citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, very distinguished Senator Dr. Godswill Akpabio, GCON, who is unavoidably absent, but ably represented here by a man, a very ranking member of the Senate, who spent 20 years and counting in the Senate already, and let me come to that, sir. This person in question was a former chief whip of the House of Representatives, and as an incumbent senator, he's also the incumbent chief whip of the Senate in this 10th Senate, and a very cerebral legal luminary of very high standing. He has done pretty very much in serving this country, unblemished. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, ably represented by distinguished Senator Mohammed Tahir Mongodo, the Chief Whip of the Senate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, the Master of Ceremony, for correction. I didn't spend 20 years in the Senate. I spent 20 years in the House of Representatives. I left. Okay, you said National Assembly. Okay, I told you said Senate. Okay, thank you. Well, as alluded to by the Master of Ceremony, I'm representing the President of the Senate, who is unavoidably absent for exigencies of office, and he has a prepared speech for me to read. But before I read the speech of the Senate President, to which I am supposed to strictly adhere to, as a lawmaker and a lawyer, I want to state that what we are doing today is apt and germane, especially against the backdrop of the agitations from all nooks and crannies of society for reform of our Electoral Act to make it autochthonous a replica of the yearnings and aspirations of the citizenry, and also to bring it in tandem with international best practices. That is the main reasoning behind our gathering today. And the National Assembly, as a representative of the people, we will always listen to the people and ensure that whatever laws we come up with at the end of the day is a reflection of the yearnings and aspirations of the people, and that is why there is a need for public hearing to hear the people before we embark upon this legislative process, and that is what brought us here today. Now for the goodwill message of the Senate President. The goodwill message is titled, "The Courage to Reform, Renewing the Soul of Our Democracy." Goodwill message by the President of the Senate, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, GCON, at the one-day public hearing on electoral reform, organized by the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters in collaboration with the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, FLAC, Conference Room 231, National Assembly Complex, Abuja, Monday, 13th October 2025. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, ably represented by my colleague, the Leader of the House, Professor Julius Ewavere, the Chairman of the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, who was a former Speaker of Plateau State House of Assembly, former Governor of Plateau State, former Minister of Labor and Productivity. I hope I will follow your footsteps. And now Senator representing Plateau and the Chairman Committee on Electoral Matters, and my brother, the Chairman Senate Committee, House Committee on Electoral Matters, and distinguished senators here present, more particularly former leader of the Senate and former Federal Permanent Secretary, a very distinguished and well-experienced and vast legislator. You are welcome. And members of the House of Representatives, I will single out the Chairman of Committee on Judiciary, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for recognition. You know, we lawyers, we give a lot of prominence to senior advocates. Whenever senior advocates are around, we bow and tremble for them. So I most particularly recognize your presence among the senators here present, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Then our colleagues in the House of Representatives, the coordinator of FLAC, international partners, the representative of the INEC, acting INEC chairman, and other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to stand before this distinguished gathering at a moment of uncommon significance in our democratic journey. Today, we are not merely discussing a law. We are shaping the moral compass of our republic. I wish to commend in the highest terms the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters of the 10th National Assembly and our partners from the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, PLAC, for their foresight and patriotism in convening this public hearing. You have summoned this assembly at a time when our nation must again reaffirm her faith in the sanctity of the ballot and the inviolability of the people's will. Your work speaks not only to the intellect, but to the conscience of Nigeria. The task before us, the repeal of the Electoral Act number 13 of 2022 and the enactment of the Electoral Act 2025, is not a matter of mere legislative housekeeping. It is an act of renewal and affirmation that our democracy must continue to evolve with the times. an affirmation that our democracy must continue to evolve with the times. Every generation of Nigerians must, in its turn, polish the mirror of democracy so that it reflects the truth of its age and the hope of its people. That is why Udo Udoma, of blessed memory, a Supreme Court justice, in one of his judgments, very cerebral judgment, stated that laws are supposed to be organic. They are not supposed to be static. They are supposed to change with the changing nature of society. And that is what exactly the Senate President is saying in his speech. Every generation of Nigerians must in its turn polish the mirror of democracy so that it reflects the truth of its age and the hope of its people. Laws like nations must adopt or they decay. The Electoral Act of 2022 served a noble purpose, but experience has taught us that perfection is a pursuit, not a possession. The law we make today must correct the weakness of yesterday and prepare the ground for the victories of tomorrow. Electoral reform is not just a technical exercise. It is the lifeblood of democracy. It ensures that leadership is born of legitimacy and that power flows from the people, not from privilege. A nation's greatness is not measured by the noise of its elections, but by the credibility of their outcome. When citizens believe that their votes count, they invest faith in the republic. When they doubt it, the soul of democracy begins to fade. Our duty as legislators is therefore to build a system where every Nigerian, from Sokoto to Calabar, from Yenagoa to Kano, and from Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. They didn't write Maiduguri here, but I decided to mention Maiduguri. From Maiduguri to Port Harcourt. Knows that his or her vote is sacred and the process is shielded from manipulation. The legislature occupies a sacred place in this endeavor. We are the custodians of the people's trust, the bridge between their hopes and the laws that govern their lives. The National Assembly must remain the fortress of reason, the marketplace of ideas, and the temple of accountability. It is here, within these walls, that the raw timber of public opinion is shaped into the fine furniture of law. Through hearings like this, we give democracy its most vital expression. The right of citizens to speak, to be heard, and to influence the course of their nation. I urge all participants in this public hearing to engage with courage and candor. Speak with your minds freely, for nations do not grow by silence, but by sincere dialogue. Let our debates be frank, our disagreements noble, and our resolutions firm. We are not here to flatter one another, but to strengthen the very foundation of our democracy. The Nigeria we desire, a nation of justice, peace, and unity, will not emerge from comfort or consensus alone. It will emerge from the hard labor of truth, from the humility to learn, and from the courage to reform. At this juncture, it is my singular honor and privilege to declare this public hearing open. Thank you.
There's another round of applause for the President of the Senate. Thank you so much. I recall the words of Abraham Lincoln, the erstwhile president of the United States, and he says, and I quote, "Elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters." A witty but profound call for accountability in electoral choices, just as enunciated by the President of the Senate. Please, let's applaud him one more time, please. I think the speeches have been delivered. The public hearing also declared open by the President of the Senate. And I think what is left now is for the procedure announcements that will be handled by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Electoral Matters. But before then, I'd like to ask if we're going to have the privilege of having the representatives of the two presiding officers stay with us as we march into this aspect, or you want to excuse us, or you want to because of the exigencies of your office. But if you want to stay with us, we'll be very glad to have you stay with us, sir. Mr. Chairman, I yield the floor to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and let me thank the Senate President, Speaker, House of Representatives. The Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives will now take their exit. Distinguished Senators, members of the House of Representatives, we are now into full session, legislative session. I told you earlier, and you are firm, that the rules will change now. No more talking. Put your phones on silence. No more clapping. If you have 3 minutes, it's 3 minutes. Our recommendation is 3 minutes representation. Within 3 minutes, you make your summary. You've submitted your documents already. We have a list of those who gave us their input. If you didn't, don't come here and say it's an open session. So you have your 3 minutes, nobody will stop you, no heckling, no clapping, nothing. Make your presentation and leave. We'll handle the rest. I also want to inform you, please, you move to the front. If you know you have presentation, let's occupy the seats in front so that those who are coming back late will stay behind. Please, you are free to move to the front now, except the first row that is reserved for legislators. First or second row, so please move to the front. My co-chair will take over from here. Those of you who attended the sessions in different states, in different zones, will understand with me that he was always available. I only came in at the tail end. So I will say that he's more experienced than me on this presentation. So my co-chair will take over from here because I am mandated to go and do another representation as it is now in Lagos. But I believe in him, and the deputy chair will join him. The deputy chair of the Senate is not available. He traveled. So Prince will take care. We'll take care of all of you. As we prepare, I wish you a very, very useful and a very fruitful session. So if there are doubts after this, we will handle it. So I want to thank you for giving me the privilege to leave too. But you are in safe hands. The chairman will take over. The chairman will now take over. God bless you as you carry out the session.
You're going to Lagos? Okay. I want to follow you to Lagos.
If you want to follow me to Lagos, follow me to Lagos.
Okay. So I want to follow you to Lagos. So, let's call the House to order. So let's go to the order of presentations. We have INEC on the number one on the list, and we are giving you just 3 minutes. Although I think INEC should get more than 3 minutes. So let INEC make its presentation. Is the son doing that? Oh, okay. Okay, let's have the next presenter from Samson Itodo, Executive Director, Yaga Africa. Is Samson here?
Samson Itodo or his representative, Yaga Africa.
Who is representing Yaga? Okay, you are doing that. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your name? Your name first.
Yeah.
And then please stand on the existing protocol, no protocol.
Okay. Thank you very much. I plead to stand on existing protocol. My name is Dr. Akin Akingbulu. I'm the Executive Director of Center for Media and Society. I'm representing Mr. Samson Itodo here, and I'm presenting on behalf of a number of civil society organizations, notably the Center for Media and Society, YAGA Africa, International Press Center, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Nigerian Women Trust Fund, TAF Africa, Electoral, and the Kuka Center. And I'll go quickly into our presentation. The prayers that we are putting before. Yes, everything. Yes. Although some of our colleagues might have specific things to present later on, International Press Center, TAF Africa, and all the rest. I'll go straight into our prayers. One, we are requesting for improvement on the integrity of the voter register and voter education. And our recommendations here are just to review the requirement for voter identification. With the successful introduction of the BVAS that stores biometric information of voters, the Act should be amended to discontinue the compulsory use of permanent voter card, PVC, and adopt the use of other legally acceptable means of identification for voter verification, such as driver's license, international passport, national identity card, including an electronically downloadable voter's card from INEC website. The second here, legally sanctioned independent audit of the voter register. The Electoral Act should compel INEC to undertake a comprehensive independent audit of the voter register to eliminate duplications, multiple registrants, and ineligible voters to enhance the credibility of the voter register. The audit process should be subjected to public scrutiny to improve its transparency. Second prayer, safeguarding the use of electoral technologies to ensure electoral integrity. Recommendations: compulsory electronic transmission of results, strengthen the Electoral Act to make electronic transmission of results mandatory, including the upload of polling unit level results and result sheets used at different levels of result collation. This will deepen the credibility of electoral outcomes and ensure votes count. Next, introduce legal timelines for testing and mock exercise of electoral technologies. The National Assembly should make further amendments to the 2022 Electoral Act to establish the principles and introduce timelines for the mandatory conduct of testing and mock exercises for electoral technologies deployed by the Electoral Commission. Electoral technologies should be tested at least 6 months before the date of an election. Next, fix the ambiguities in the result management process. Further review the Electoral Act to address the ambiguities in the results collection and transmission process and the role of technology in the results management value chain. Third prayer, protecting voting rights and inclusiveness of elections. And one recommendation here, early special voting. Allow security officers, INEC staff, journalists, election observers, and prisoners vote early since they work on election day. Nigeria's electoral framework does not accommodate early voting, leaving over 2 million eligible voters unable to participate in elections. Early special voting will increase voter turnout, reduce election day congestion, and logistical challenges. Prayer number 4. Improve the quality of candidate selection. And our recommendation, introduce sanctions for non-compliance with party register and delegate list submission. That is, amend the Act to impose sanctions on political parties that fail to submit their register of members and list of delegates at least 30 days before primaries, congresses, or conventions, similar to the existing penalties for not notifying INEC of these events. Other priority ones, just 3, make INEC truly independent by removing the power to appoint INEC chairman and commissioners from the president, use a merit-based, open and time-bound process for INEC appointments. 2, conclude all election cases before swearing in to ensure political stability and deepen public trust in election outcomes. 3rd, create Electoral Offenses Commission to punish people who commit election crimes. Thank you for giving us the floor.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. And since he announced that he actually represented so many organizations that we already have on this list, maybe people who have presentation who are not part should show interest if they still have anything to present.
Yeah, some have specifics.
Okay, Dr. Sanusi Abdulwasiu, PhD. Okay.
My name is Dr. Sanusi Abdulwasiu from Sokoto State College of Education, Director of Human Rights International Movement, Sokoto Branch. And I'm here to talk on 3 critical issues that concern INEC in order to move forward for the new Electoral Act. These areas that I'm here to talk about involve the issue of prosecution of electoral offenders, regulating and registering of political parties, and finally on issue of civil voter education. So I will go straight to the point. The recommendation here is that, of course, INEC, the core mandate of INEC is to conduct free and fair elections, but there are some other certain oversight functions that as kind of, multiple function that has affected the capacity or the performance of INEC. So we recommended that there should be a repeal of Section 145, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act that mandate INEC to prosecute election offenders and create a commission, just like someone suggested here, that will handle that responsibility so that INEC attention should not be divided. Secondly, on the issue of registrations and regulating of political party, we also recommended that they should repeal the section 75 to 84 that mandate INEC, to regulate and register political parties, to monitor political parties, and create a kind of a commissions, just as it's been practiced in the other clans globally, so that that commission will be the one to handle these activities. Because when we look at, in fact, even the Constitution has to be amended, like sections 225 to 229, where the sections, where section 109, where it stated that any members that vacate, that the camp should also ready to vacate without a very cogent reason. So there's a need to amend that particular area. And finally, on the issue of voter educations, we also advocated that they should repeal Section 2 of the Electoral Act. Actually, INEC is doing well in that area, but it's more of a season issue, which is not supposed to be like that. Voter education is a continued exercise, other places in the world. But in terms of in Nigeria, looking at it from Nigeria angle, it is before election and immediately election, it stopped there. And people need to, there's a lot of people that need this voter educations. In fact, when you are telling people about the glitch that happened, some people don't even understand that the glitch is only about the presidential result. They all believe that both the governorship, the electoral result, all of them has glitches, which is not like that. And this is as a result of lack of very, very comprehensive voter education. So we now say that this responsibility should be repealed from the INEC, Electoral Act 2022, and transfer the responsibility to National Orientation Agency, thereby strengthening the National Orientation Agency, and at the same time, permit them to also have a collaborative structure. Collaborations with other bodies like tertiary institutions in order to be advocating for this electoral voter education. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Can we have Dr. Ife Oluwaruwo-Shoge representing former members of the National Assembly? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Senators and members of House of Representatives present, all protocols duly observed. This presentation is from the National Forum of Former Legislators. My name once again is Honorable Dr. Ife Oluwaruwo-Shoge. On behalf of the National Forum of Former Legislators, I bring you warm greetings and best regards at this special exercise initiated by the National Assembly. The National Forum of Former Legislators is a duly registered body of former legislators established with the objective, among others, of promoting legislative advocacy and strengthening and deepening democratic governance and participation in Nigeria. We commend the National Assembly for this initiative and its proactive efforts in reviewing and amending the Electoral Act 2022 in order to address the gaps identified during its implementation and to ensure that our electoral processes are transparent, accountable, fair, and inclusive. Your Excellencies, as part of our contribution to this ongoing discourse on this bill, the National Forum of Former Legislators has already submitted a written document with you, particularly on the provision of Section 84 of the Principal Act, now Section 87 in the proposed bill. This section addresses our previous concerns regarding the exclusion of former legislators from participating in the internal affairs of political parties, particularly in the nomination of candidates during party convention and congresses. We are pleased to note that the submissions of our body have already duly captured and reflected in the proposed bill. This development will promote a spirit of inclusiveness in the administration of political parties in Nigeria. We therefore wish to express our full support and solidarity with the Joint Committee on this important amendment. However, we respectively draw the attention of the Joint Committee on the fact that Section 84, Sub 12 of the old Act, which is in pari materia with Section 89 of the proposed bill, has been declared by the Court of Appeal as being discriminatory and unconstitutional. We therefore urge committee to critically examine this section and consider making the necessary amendments in line with the decision of the Court of Appeal. This judicial pronouncement...
Can you take that again? The last sentence you just made.
Okay, thank you. We respectively draw the attention of the Joint Committee to the fact that Section 84, Sub 12 of the old Act, which is in pari materia with Section 89 of the proposed bill, has been declared by the Court of Appeal as being discriminatory and unconstitutional. We therefore urge the committee to critically examine this section and consider making the necessary amendment in line with the decision of the Court of Appeal.
What I'm saying is that since you are discussing that, you could have at least read out what that section is about, so that we can get idea of what you are saying.
Okay. That section, which the old Act is 84/12, now the new bill is 89, is saying that no political appointee can be a voting delegate or be voted for at conventions, congresses, for the purpose of nomination of candidates for election. This one, according to the Court of Appeal, is unconstitutional. Section 40, Section 42 of the Constitution nullify this aspect, it makes it unconstitutional. So we are urging that the committee should review this very well and do the right thing. The right thing is your prerogative. We are just appealing. Because it's like contradicting the section you had already approved, like Section 84, that you have already approved for this, for what I've just said now. If you now, the way this one is in your bill, if it is allowed like that, it will contradict what you had already done. So by the time you look into it, I have a copy, Your Excellencies, I have a copy of the judgment here. I have a copy of the judgment here. It's already with you. That okay. I drop another copy.
All right.
The chairman is.
No, he said he has a copy. He will drop a copy.
So I'm dropping a copy of this with you.
Let him just present.
Okay, sir. Well, that is how I have to present to you. We want to appreciate you for giving us opportunity to be heard. And we thank you and we thank God for this opportunity. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Thanks for the presentation. Next on the list, the alternative movement. The alternative movement. Do you have the representative here? There's no alternative.
Yes, there is. Mr. Chairman, my name is Otunba Segun Showumi. I'm the convener of the alternative movement. It is often said that to adopt protocols, you just have to strictly accept what has been said already. And so let me, through you, pass obedience to all the members and all the people here. There are about two major issues that we wish you consider. The first has to do with candidates and the verification of their documents. According to what exists now, we are asking and pleading that you modify Section 134 of the Electoral Act 2022. Before I read what we're saying, the main reason is that as it stands now, even when those who are to vote realize that the person who wants to represent them has not provided the right type of credentials when they paste that, that window, the law does not allow them to do anything about it. The law presently does not even allow a rival political party to do anything about it. It will become meddlesome interloper, and we believe very strongly that it's part of the reasons why you end up embarrassing the entire country. Therefore, we're asking that it should say that Section 134, Clause 29(5) should read, any person who has reasonable ground to believe that any information given by the political party candidate in the affidavit or any document submitted by that candidate in relation to the constitutional requirement to contest, if it be false, may file a suit at the Federal High Court against that candidate. What that does, in our opinion, is that it forces them to be absolutely sure of what they are presenting. And it allows everybody that is an interested person within that constituency to have the ability to say, this is not correct and this cannot go. As it stands now, it becomes only purely a matter of the political party, who often do not admit that they've made a mistake. The second one, sir, has to do with the political parties and primaries. We are of the view that the Electoral Act as it presently stands, which has tried to reduce the number of people who come to pick those candidates from the party to just about the 3 per wards, and in some cases 5 per wards in other parties, be left so. And the simple reason is that that particular provision was tested in the 2023 election. Our thinking is, with Nigeria, with our country, our experience has been, we tend to always insist that when a new act has been passed, rather than us accept that we will learn on it, purge ourselves of the assumptions we had before the act was run, as soon as the act is in process, we tend to always desire that, no, we don't want that improvement again, we want to go back to the old order, and there must have been a reason why we dropped that. So we're asking that Section 84, please be considered. It has about 1, 2, 3, 4, it's quite lengthy, and I do not desire to spend all the time reading out the specific clauses. But suffice to say, political office holders, elected representatives, appointed representatives, the aides of ministers, governors, even of presidents, cannot enjoy an unnecessary level of suffrage over the selection of the candidates of party. If it has been left at the level of the delegates from the ward, it forces everybody to go back to them and increases the ability of the entire country to at least be immune from the huge numbers of those that have been pre-appointed to come and say they are the ones who are going to also invariably be choosing the candidates. We should be truly understanding to tell ourselves that if we are to sustain this democracy that we have agreed and we are struggling with, it behoves us to be sure that we're not cleverly excluding those who originally own the mandate. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Next, we have Professor Ambassador Abdullahi Shehu Ibaikwa. Did I get that pronounced that way? Oh, so. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished senators, honorable members, I stand on the established protocol. We have 10-point recommendation for the committee. 2 are constitutional and they are directly taken from the Justice Ways Electoral Reform Committee report. 1 is with regard to the appointment of the chairman of INEC. We feel that the process should be changed. The president should not directly appoint. The National Judicial Council should appoint, subject to Senate confirmation. Number 2, regarding the independence of INEC, on the structure and functions of INEC, we recommend that INEC should be restructured and unbundled into 3 separate commissions for efficiency. 1 to be responsible for political party registration, regulation, and audit. The 2nd should be responsible for constituency delineation, voter registration, and civic education. And the 3rd body should deal with electoral offenses. So we agree entirely with the recommendations in the Justice Ways Election Reform Committee report. Number 3, on election schedule and synchronization, we recommend that the presidential, gubernatorial, national, and state assembly elections be held on the same day to reduce costs and tension. Number 4, with respect to political parties, we recommend that there should only be 2 parties in the country, registered parties, as we experienced during the Third Republic transition. Number 5, we recommend for independent candidacy as it is obtained in other countries, and we cited the example of Ghana, which can be cited as an example. Number 6, with respect to early voting and specialized election, we recommend that a model also adopted in other countries where those who are handling election matters be given early opportunity to vote, and this should also be extended to those who may be classified as special voters. Number 7, party and campaign funding is directly impactful on the quality of election. We therefore recommend that the law should set realistic and enforceable threshold on party campaign funding together with an independent audit. The independent audit here is the emphasis, and all donors should be declared before election. Number 8, on electronic voting and transmission, we recommend that an upgraded technology digital transformation system be made legally binding, thus codifying the use of technology in law rather than in the INEC guidelines. Number 9, threshold for declaring winner in the presidential election. As obtained in most countries, we recommend that the threshold for the declaration of a winner in presidential election should be pegged to 50% of the total votes cast during election. Where no candidate is able to make this, there should be a runoff. And finally, on election offenses and penalties, we recommend that the scope of election offenses and penalties as contained in the 2022 Act, including dereliction of duty, should be strengthened and made enforceable. We thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for the presentation. So now that INEC is back, can we have your presentation? Presentation for INEC. Presentation for INEC. Do you have any presentation for INEC? Okay. Okay, that means the commissioner have already said all INEC need to say. So we have Cedar Seed Foundation. Anybody from the organization here? Cedar Seed Foundation. Oh, okay. Please, we don't want to be accused of not complying. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to sit on the already established protocol. My name is Lois Auta from the Cedar Seed Foundation, but I'm representing women with disabilities. And as we all know, women and girls with disabilities are at a 0% level of participation when it comes to issues of electoral processes and representation in governance. And according to Section 30 of the Nigerian Disability Act, it has given us the right to vote and to be voted for. And Article 29 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities also states that persons with disabilities have the right to participate in public life equally. Then on electoral process, Electoral Act 2022, Section 54 to be precise, subsection 1 and 2, also states that persons with disabilities have electoral rights. So on these three legal instruments that I just mentioned, it is time that we review our Electoral Act to mandate interagency collaboration on voter education, where organizations of persons with disabilities will be mobilized to register their members. We also want persons with disabilities who are voters to vote early before the official date of election. We also want Section 54 to be amended and reviewed. The format of election information for persons with disabilities, INEC should be legally mandated to ensure all election results and communications, such as notices, are available in accessible and inclusive formats. And when it comes to electronic voting, some of our members are legally excluded. People with Hansen diseases, they don't have fingers to vote. The popularly name is those affected by leprosy. But the real name that United Nations approved is people affected by Hansen diseases. We should review our documents and ensure they have rights to vote. They should not be excluded. HB 1931, which was introduced a few months ago, they use the terminology physically challenged. We want it to be renamed to persons with disabilities. Because when you say physically challenged, that means you are referring to those in wheelchairs and those on crutches alone. But when you say persons with disabilities, you refer to every cluster and category of disability, which includes people with albinism, people with Hansen diseases, people affected by spinal cord injury, the deaf people, physically challenged persons, and other categories of persons with disabilities. There is also need to introduce quotas and reserve seats for women with disabilities at all levels of governance. In addition to legislative reform, we want political parties to have desk officers on disability matters. This will ensure our matters are carried along from the planning stage to the implementation stage. And we also want to ensure that persons with disabilities are included in party manifestos, constitutions of all political parties, and other significant legal frameworks. INEC should institutionalize a compliance and reporting mechanism to track how parties are implementing disability and gender inclusion. On this quota system, Senator Crystal Asige in Kenya was able to be part of Kenyan Parliament, a young woman of 33 years with visual impairment, but she's a senator in Kenya. So if Kenyan Parliament could do this, what about Nigeria? We need to act fast and ensure inclusivity in every aspect of our electoral processes. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you for the presentation. But I will want to let you know that apart from all those laws you quoted, the Constitution, which is the grand norm, recognizes your right to vote and be voted for. Thank you. So let's have Professor Amuda Kanike-san.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished members on the high table, they say when a protocol is not good, that's the only time you cannot rely on it. So since the protocols are good as far as my judgment is concerned, may I rely on all the protocols? I'm here in a double capacity. You have good felicitation from my DG needs, and then I'm also invited to deliver this paper. Thank you. We will not waste much of your time because we have been part of this national Assembly because National Assembly is. But since I have 3 minutes, as we usually do, Mr. Chairman, we have a proposal. I have a proposal dated the 8th day of October 2025, already sent to you 21 copies, and then I am relying on those documents already before you. But I will still now adumbrate within the 3 minutes limit I have, and I will not go beyond it. Once it is 2 minutes to go, and once it's a minute to go, I am sure the red flag will tap. We have looked at key challenges dealing with e-persons voting. We've looked at manual collation, campaign and political parties financing, which others have talked about today. We've also looked at the issue of determination of electoral disputes quickly as much as possible. We look at local government council elections, which others have also mentioned. Our proposal is that there should be an amendment to the Act to allow for electronic voting, which everybody has been talking about. Whichever process we are going to use, it is important that we have to develop it faster than what we have. The question is, if we can use our ATM card successfully to collect money, as serious as money is concerned, even with the itches, we still use it today. I think we should go electronic. And the better we start it, the more inclusive you have people who's having trust in the fact that they can vote. Let us continue to test it. It will work. And one day, I am sure we will not use much of this money. We can sit down at the corridor of our houses and then continue to vote, and then it will be counted. Now, I've talked about real-time electoral transmission of results. This has to also be done in a way that we will have persons to also be happy that the results are credible. Campaign and political parties financing has to be looked at. The duration for electoral dispute has to be considered. I mentioned that local government should be looked into. Therefore, there should be an amendment to the Act to allow for electronic voting. Gradual adoption of this electronic voting is real and it should be timeless. We should review the test road of maximum expenses to be incurred by candidates, especially people like us. If I want to contest now, I don't think I can. Where will I get those millions and billions and billions? We need to consider that one. Otherwise, we may be better off, but we can't get there. I think we need to look into it. At least I'm already excluded from contesting election. Most people are also excluded. They don't have those billions. They don't have those millions. You must buy form. Even buying form alone, you're already excluded. We need to look into it. Constitutional alteration to review the timeline for conducting election has to be considered. Constitutional alteration to scrap SEC. You can imagine that there is no sitting governor that has lost local government election. That should be suspicious enough. We should be suspicious. In order not to beat much of my time, thank you for this opportunity. God bless you.
Thank you, Prof. But I want us to observe this while moving on. Thank you. We've distributed some of the highlights on some of the areas that we have considered and position that we still have, though some can still be amended. And so I would want us to put our discussion also in line with what we have already, so that we don't just bring the ideas as if they are just coming. See what we have. If you agree with it, if you feel there's a need for an amendment, so that we'll have quality discussion today. Because most of the things that have been discussed here are already in the highlights that we presented to you. Look at the position we have on ground for now. If you are okay with it, if there's a need for amendment, or we go along with what we have. So I think that will give us more precise decision at the end of the day. So, the next person, have we called Dr. Akin Bulu? No. Okay, yes, okay, yes. Okay, Louis Outer Cedar Seed Foundation. I think we're taking that one out. Okay, they wrote it twice. Okay. I've taken his own. Action Aid Nigeria.
Okay, starting on existing protocols. Good afternoon, everyone. I am here on behalf of the board, management staff, and the stakeholders of Action Aid Nigeria. And I'm presenting recommendations from the Independent Judicial Accountability Panel, IJAP. This is a panel convened by Citizens Actions on Judicial Accountability to Promote Democracy in Nigeria, the City Act project, which is presently implemented by Action Aid Nigeria. And the following are our recommendations and our thoughts on some of the amendments to be made. So on the electoral offenses, IJAP notes with satisfaction the increased punishment for electoral offenses largely reflected in the proposed Electoral Bill 2025. However, we recommend that the disqualification of candidates and political parties for many serious offenses should be included in the proposed bill. And we also recommend that that INEC should not be a statutory respondent in election petitions, and independent experts should be included in elections in each tribunal to provide opinions. We also recommend that there should be a separation of the regulations and guidelines of INEC in separate documents, and that they should be separately gazetted. For front-loading of witnesses' statements, we are recommending that front-loading of witnesses' statements should not be extended to subpoenaed witnesses. And we are also proposing that party primaries not conducted in line with INEC guidelines and regulations should be invalidated. On timeline for election petitions, we would like that the Electoral Act 2025 ensures completion of election petitions before swearing in. So there should be shorter timelines for election petitions from 180 days to a maximum of 120 days, of 60 days at each level. So these are some of our recommendations. I would submit this now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. Okay, Mr. Advocacy, let's have the presentation then.
The honor of welcoming us most formally. It will be my honor and privilege, very distinct one at that, to then invite the Chairman, Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Simon Bakola, long CON, to then please approach the podium for his welcome and opening remarks. Please, a warm round of applause for him. I forgot, we don't clap at public hearings. Your Excellency, sir, to the podium, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
By amending Section 96(1) of the Electoral Act to ensure that penalties for violating the campaign blackout period within 24 hours before or on election day apply only to the offending media organizations, with the liability not extending to principal officers or other staff of the media house. Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, I'd like to read briefly parts of that 96(1). And 96(1)(2) says, where an offense under subsection 1 is committed by a body corporate, the principal officers of that body shall be deemed to have equally committed the same offense. This is like criminalizing journalists or broadcasters for their work. And the penalty which the current act stipulates is that a person convicted of an offense under this section is liable, in the case of an individual, that is, a journalist, to a maximum fine of 1 million naira or to imprisonment for a term of 6 months. So we believe that this should be amended to drop liability on the part of individual officers of this media. Our fourth proposal, of course, is in support of the establishment of an election offenses tribunal, and we do this because it would allow investigation and prosecution of politicians who, contrary to the Electoral Act, misuse state resources, including media access, or obstruct fair media coverage. And of course, it would also enable the prosecution of individuals attacking journalists during elections. In 2019, Mr. Chairman, it's on record that as many as 250 journalists were attacked on election day. We want a situation whereby there will be an offenses commission that can deal with this. Our number 5 proposal is support for the establishment of a political parties registration commission. And we do this also from a media perspective because it would provide a designated institution responsible for overseeing compliance with electoral regulations related to political and campaign finance, allowing the media to address any reported violations through an official channel. Our 6th proposal is support for investing the voter education functions of INEC and extending it to the National Orientation Agency. And this would allow INEC to focus on its core task, while the media could then partner with National Orientation Agency for effective outreach nationwide. Number 7, again touching on the media. Here, Mr. Chairman, we are demanding an amendment to the Electoral Act to allow for discounted airtime and advertising rates for marginalized groups. And this reinforces my sister's earlier submission. And this would require asking public media outlets, both broadcast and print, and by public here we are talking about state-owned media, to provide special discounted airtime and advertising rates to underserved and marginalized groups, specifically women, youth, and persons with disabilities during election campaigns. We believe this measure aims to ensure equitable visibility and foster greater inclusivity in political participation. I'm almost done, Mr. Chairman. Number 8 is our proposal that there should be a legal distinction between free and paid media access, so that the Electoral Act could be amended to clearly separate the two for political parties and candidates, and this will help to prevent misuse of media privileges and promote fair campaigning, because the Electoral Act currently demands for equitable access, but political parties that have huge resources use advertising power to undermine this. Finally, Mr. Chairman, we are proposing protection for journalists on election day, and this will require implementing legal measures that requires security agencies to ensure the safety of all accredited journalists and election observers during election day. This provision, if assented to, would facilitate secure and unobstructed media coverage, thereby strengthening transparency and accountability throughout the electoral process. This memo has already been submitted electronically to the Secretariat, and I thank you for your opportunity. Thank you very much.
And best of all, to do you and all of us the honor of welcoming us most formally, it will be my honor and privilege, very distinct one at that, to then invite the Chairman, Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, His Excellency Distinguished Senator Simon Bakola, long CON, to then please approach the podium for his welcome and opening remarks. Please, a warm round of applause for him. I forgot, we don't clap at public hearings. Your Excellency, sir, to the podium, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, the MC. Let me first welcome His Excellency, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, ably represented by the Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Mongunu. I also take opportunity to welcome the Speaker of the House of Representatives, ably represented by the Leader of the House, distinguished senators that are here, members of the House of Representatives who are members of these various committees, our key partners, the representative of the Honorable Attorney General, the representative of the Secretary to Government of the Federation. Let me beg to lean on the existing protocols as already laid out by the MC. I should not forget my co-chair of the House, from the House of Representatives. It is with great honor and deep sense of responsibility that I welcome you all to this important one-day public hearing on the Electoral Amendment Bill 2025, organized by the Joint Committee on Electoral Matters in partnership with Policy and Legal Advocacy Center PLAC, with the support of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO. Today marks a critical step in our collective effort to strengthen Nigeria's democratic institutions and processes through a transparent, inclusive, and participatory lawmaking process. Elections are the lifeblood of democracy, and the legal framework that governs them must be robust, responsive, and reflective of the realities of our time. This public hearing is a clear demonstration of the leadership of the National Assembly as well as the Joint Committee to open governance and citizen participation. It is our firm belief that laws that affect the generality of the people must benefit from the input, their experience, and their aspirations. It is in that spirit that we invited stakeholders from across the spectrum, political parties, civil societies, electoral experts, security agencies, and media experts, academia, and ordinary citizens to contribute meaningfully to this reform of our electoral legal framework. The Electoral Bill 2025 seeks to address identified gaps and challenges from the conduct of the 2023 general elections as well as subsequent off-cycle elections. We are not unmindful of the contentious nature of electoral reforms, and that is why we are committed to a transparent and non-partisan approach to this process. The objective is not to serve the interests of any political party or group, but to safeguard the integrity of our elections and build public confidence in the democratic process. As the chairman of this joint committee, I assure you that all contributions made here today will be carefully considered and documented for incorporation into the final report and recommendations to the proposed bill. Let me also thank all stakeholders who have already submitted memoranda position papers. We appreciate your dedication to the democratic process. Let me at this juncture commend the leadership of the National Assembly as well as the distinguished Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives for the support and the political will demonstrated towards this electoral reform. I also extend our gratitude to INEC, civil society groups, especially our partners, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center PLAC, for their continuous support to the Joint Committee, and also to the Nigerian public for their unwavering commitment to electoral integrity. In closing, I urge us all to engage in today's deliberations with the seriousness and patriotism that the moment demands. Let us speak not as partisans, but as well-meaning citizens. Let us set aside personal and political interests in favor of national progress. The electoral future of our country depends on the choices we make today. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you for listening. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.